Okay, let me see if I got this right. You want to do what again?
We need an exterminator. A plan that will destroy King Ghidorah. We wish to borrow from you on Earth the Monster 01 and Monster 02. Godzilla and Rodan.
Are you serious?
Of course. Deadly serious. King Ghidorah was driven from Earth, but only by the combined strength of Godzilla and Rodan. Will you help us?
Wait a minute. What about Mothra?
What?
Nothing.
Will you help us?
Well, now that I think about it, I don't think I'm fine with that idea. I don't think I would want you to take my Godzilla and Rodan to outer space. I'm not behind that idea. So no, I don't think I can go for that.
We regret that you have not yet complied with our order. We interpret this as a negative reply.
You can interpret it however you want to interpret it. I don't really care. Besides, who are you supposed to be anyway?
I am the controller of Planet X.
Okay, and? So what? You're the controller of Planet X. You know what? You know where you are right now? You're in the Monster Island Man Cave. Yes, you're on my turf. And around these parts, I'm the head honcho. I'm the big cheese. I'm numero uno. I'm the big daddy. I'm all these different things.
Let's not argue the matter.
No. You the one talking about this negative reply, whatever, and I don't take kindly to threats. You know what? You know what? I'm a peaceful man. I really am. Despite my tone, despite this grim looking face, I'm really a peaceful man. So how about I do you one better? How about I have a proposition for you? How about instead of you taking my monsters to Planet X with you, how about you stay here in the Monster Island Man Cave with Godzilla and Rodan and King Ghidorah? How does that sound?
Good. A happy moment.
You daggone right it's a happy moment. What's going on, people? LP2000 right back at you with another video. Yes, welcome back to Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Summer Kaiju. And today we're taking a look at another X Plus figure. Yes, another exquisite, awesome X Plus figure. Almost a shocker, really, because we had no idea that this figure was coming. More on that later. But today we're taking a look at the awesome X Plus 25cm Godzilla 1965 Ric Exclusive Edition from the epic, just awesome Showa film, Invasion of Astro-Monster, also known as Kaiju. But we know it better here in the United States as Godzilla vs. Monster 0. And as you can see, I have the beautiful figure here, as well as the awesome little mini Ric edition right here, the Planet X alien. Yes, this is such an amazing figure. Such an amazing release. You know what I mean? You know how we do things right here. Let's get into the box before we get into the figure. And basically, it's a typical 25cm box. You've seen it before. Window display. You've seen it before. You know what I mean? With the tag on the bottom. Godzilla 1965 with the mini Planet X Alien Ric Exclusive Edition. Yeah, that's it with the box. Nothing extravagant, you know, whatever. So, boom, there you go. There's your box toss, you know what I mean? So, yes, let's get into this figure. Let's go into the backstory. Mind you, once again, let me just say, I am really happy to have this figure. I didn't think I was going to be this ecstatic, you know, once I had it in my hands, but I'm even beyond that, because this figure has exceeded all my expectations. And that's the thing, we didn't have any expectation for this figure, because this figure kind of was a shocker. It came out of nowhere. It wasn't exhibited at any other, like, toy shows or past toy shows to let us know that it was coming. No prototype, unpainted prototype version of this figure. Basically, it came up for pre-order, or it was announced via the Rick Boy site, you know, I believe in September. And it just got released just last week, you know, and it's still making its way over here to the United States as we speak. So there's still a few people that have not gotten theirs yet, but trust me, they will get theirs, you know, this upcoming week. Today's the 25th, so yeah, it got released last week, and I'm sure a lot of folks will be getting theirs starting this week as well as the week afterwards, and blah, blah, blah. But yes, this was a shocker because, once again, we had no idea that this thing was coming, you know, and it's really more so of a most welcome addition to the X Plus 25cm roster, or just the X Plus roster in general. And, of course, when it was announced, you know, a lot of folks were happy, but yes, there were a couple of folks out there. I don't know. It seems to be like, this seems like to be the norm nowadays. Like, whenever a new figure is announced, of course, a lot of folks will be happy, are going to be happy, excuse me, but there are some folks that just, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, just find little nitpicky things about the figure. You know, in this figure's case, a lot of folks were saying, or at least some folks were saying, that they wish it was 30 centimeter, or why did they make a 74 Godzilla, or why did they do this, why did they do that, you know, and just not really, being happy about the fact that we finally getting some new blood in the 25cm scale. And this is a figure, or at least a design, excuse me, they have not made yet. They have not made a 65 Godzilla yet, as far as X Plus is concerned. Now, they did make a 66 from Godzilla vs. Sea Monster, but they have not tackled anything from this film. That's also what makes this this release even that much more special. That Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, believe it or not, is one of the few films that X Plus has not released any monster from a film yet. You know, up until this release, Godzilla vs. Monster Zero and Godzilla vs. Megaguirus are the only two films that X Plus has not have a monster representing from a Godzilla film. Pretty much every Godzilla film besides those two has got a representative from the 25cm line, 30, gigantic, whatever. But Monster Zero and Megaguirus are the only two films that they have not touched until now. So now Megaguirus is the only film that they have not done anything yet. And I hope we get to that at some point. But this was really an awesome release, you know, and it was really just made me very happy. You know, aside from the fact, like I said, there were some folks there were just finding some issues with it before they even had a figure in their hands. I, being a Showa fan and being a huge fan of this film, Monster Zero, I was so on board with this release. And once I found out what the Rick edition was with the Planet X Alien, yes, this is awesome because I don't have any representation of a Planet X Alien in my collection. And in my opinion, I think the Planet X Aliens are the cooler aliens that they have brought out to us in the Godzilla franchise. You know, of course you have the Keylocks, of course you have the Space 8s from the Mechagodzilla films, and of course you have those knockoff Exilians from Final Wars. But these, even though their outfits are kind of like cheesy and it was kind of signed at times, at the particular time in 1965, I still find these aliens like the best ever. You know, these are the ones that I really do enjoy the most. So when they announced the Rick for this being a mini Planet X Alien, I was like, you know what, I'm going for the Rick. So once again, let me give a huge shout out and thank you to Tyler Boots Carlson. He helped me get this Rick. And once again, I think Rick was the only way to go with this release, especially if you're a fan of Monster Zero. The fact you get a small mini replica version of an alien from the film. Now, mind you, it's not really the controller, but still, just a representation of it is still awesome. So it's one of those situations where, you know what, going Rick was really a no-brainer for me. And that's basically the backstory behind me and this figure. And once again, I love it. I really do love it. It's just an awesome representation of the Daisenso Godzilla. or the 65 Godzilla, you know. So you know what? Let's just go ahead first into the figure, and let's talk about the figure itself. Once again, this is an awesome representation of the 65 Godzilla. You know, it has just that tree bark skin that we know about Godzilla. The tree bark skin, you know, charcoal gray with some highlights all over the skin to give it more depth, to give it more exuberance, to give it more life. You know, it's awesome. The toes are painted off bone white, as well as the claws on his hands. They're really painted really well. Excuse me. The pose, and let's talk about the pose for a little bit. The pose is also awesome too, because it's typical of this Godzilla in this film. You know, when he was a 64, Godzilla had his hands close to his body, kind of like this, you know, very menacing, you know, whatever. He barely moved his arms all the way around. Now, he did that in Ghidorah 3 the Monster, but he did it more so in this film, where he's very more expressive, you know, with his movements. And he's moving his arms around a lot, you know, he's raising his arms. So the suit almost comes off as a little bit baggy in a way, but they also incorporate that into the sculpt here, which I also like. And with the sculpt, it looks like Godzilla's like in misstep, like he's about to attack something, either King Ghidorah or the city or the military. So the sculpt on this is really good. The pose on this is really good. Tail is not too long. Tail sculpted really well. On the dorsal plates are sculpted and painted really well. Kind of like a light gray, like a light charcoal gray, which looks really good. The sculpt on the dorsal plates, and that's the thing, I'm really huge in the dorsal plates, you know, especially when it comes to vinyl figures. You know, I'm looking at the dorsal plates to see if they got it right, and they really got this right on his dorsal plates. They sculpted it. It's sculpted really well. Perfectly, if you will, all the way from his top dorsal plate on the back, dorsal plate on the back of his neck, all the way down to the bottom dorsal plate right here at the base of the tail. They have done a great job with the dorsal plates. I really do enjoy these dorsal plates, you know. What else? Let's talk about the face. Yes, and yes, since this is the same suit from Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, the next film, a lot of folks tend to call this Godzilla to have a Cookie Monster face, and I can see that to a certain extent, but still, it still maintains that almost sinister, well, I take that back, less sinister, but just almost just very mean, determined look of Godzilla. Now, he did look ticked off. He did look like, you know, that this Godzilla comes across like he looks very irritated. Like, everything that goes on around him, he just that look just really just signifies that he's irritated about something, you know. And they kind of did the same thing in the next suit, you know, which I always say that the next suit, which is the same suit, mind you, it's still, he just looks a little bit meaner in 66, but still, he still looks great here. He still looks menacing here. You know, the tongue is painted really well. The teeth are individually sculpted. The mouth looks really well. Just the overall presentation of this Godzilla is awesome, you know. I don't see any issues with it. I don't see any artistic liberties where I can say, well, this kind of looks exaggerated, or this look exaggerated, or that look exaggerated. To me, I think this is just a perfect representation of the 65 Godzilla, in my opinion. The only thing that probably comes close that I have in my collection is my Billiken 65 kit, you know, which is an awesome kit, mind you. But far as X Plus, they have done a great job with this. You know, when I first saw the pictures of this thing when they came up for pre-order, it looked really good. It looked so awesome. And now I can honestly tell you, this thing looks really amazing, even better in person. So trust me, if you have not gotten yours yet, trust me, you will be in hog heaven once he arrives this week or the week afterwards. But still, if you can find this guy, I think a couple are on Hobby Search right now. It's not the Ric, but there are a couple on Hobby Search. Please get your hands on this figure. And it's really affordable. I think on Hobby Search it's maybe like $110, $120, and adding shipping is gonna be like around $140, $150, something like that. Now, $150 for a great Godzilla figure like this, you know, an awesome, exquisite, expertly detailed 25cm figure like this for like $130, $140 ship. That's a deal. Now, mind you, he's gonna be up there in price in 2 or 3 months if you wait too long. Because once he comes out, once he gets dropped, and once those eBay rapists get their hands on him, he's going to jump up in price. You know, don't be surprised if you see this guy go for like $250 or $300 in the next couple months. But if you want one right now, jump on Hobby Search right now and get your hands on this figure. You would not be disappointed. Now, let's talk about the Ric feature. And yes, we're going to go into the Ric feature. And once again, this is like one of my most favorite Ric features of all time when it comes to a Godzilla figure, the Planet X alien. And he sculpted really well too. He has his pose where he's got his hands in the back of his his hands on the back of his back like this. Typical of what we saw in the film, really. Even down to his goofy curly shoes, you know, those elf-looking shoes, and just his whole uniform, the helmet, the antenna on the top of his head, you know, those sun visor glasses, whatever it was, just and the red pen on his uniform. This is just an awesome, cool representation of the Planet X alien. Once again, I don't think it's the controller. I think it's like one of the other aliens. But to me, I'm gonna call it the controller. That's just me. It may not be officially the controller, but I'm gonna call him the controller. You know what I mean? So I really do enjoy this Planet X alien. Once again, I didn't have a representation of this in my collection, which is why it was more so of a reason for me to go Ric on this release. And I'm glad I got it, you know. So such a great representation of the Planet X alien, and this is such a great representation of the 65 Godzilla. I'm glad that they finally coming out with all these great Showa releases. Between this one, the Favorite Sculptors line Verona just came out, also released the upcoming Godzilla 1967, the Favorite Sculptors line Godzilla 1964, Ebora. Looks really good. Oh, and speaking of Ebora, I almost forgot. With this Godzilla being the 65 Godzilla, he kind of does look like the 66 Godzilla before he attacks the red bamboo base. And we all know about the story, or at least if you saw my video involving my top 10 favorite Godzilla incarnations, I kind of go into it a little bit. But basically, to give you the short version, since this was the same suit used in Godzilla vs. Sea Monster, he has a certain look, or at least this look, when he wakes up for the first time, when he fights Ebora, when he comes across Dio, when he fights the airplane squadron that attacks him, and before he attacks the red bamboo base in the film. Now, afterwards, he kind of looks kind of funky, you know, which I will bring up the 25cm 66 Godzilla for comparison, and you'll see what I mean. But my point is that this Godzilla honestly can double for the 66 Godzilla because he has that look, some of that same look before he attacks the red bamboo base. And maybe you can put it with your 25cm Ebora, you know, because the 25cm 66 Godzilla, like I said, he does look good, but he does look like he looked after he attached the red bamboo base, but he didn't look the best in the world, you know. But you'll see that in size comparisons in a few seconds. But I want to bring that up, that if you have the Ebora, the 25cm Ebora, maybe the upcoming 30cm Ebora, even though it may be like a little not accurate size-wise, it still be interesting to see what this Godzilla would look like up against Ebora, you know. That's why I want to point that out right now. But aside from that, the Planet X alien looks awesome. Godzilla himself looks awesome, and I'm glad I got this release. So let's do a couple size comparisons and see how this Godzilla looks with other figures in my collection. And let's start with the first size comparison right now. Okay, folks, this is the first size comparison alongside the 65 Godzilla 25cm from X Plus. I have his other 25cm counterparts, and I have my collection from the 60 Showa films, aside from I don't have the 62 because I have taste. But I have pretty much all the rest of them. And yes, let's go from left to right. Of course, the 1964 Godzilla, the 65 Godzilla, the 66 Godzilla, the 67 Godzilla, as well as the 68 Godzilla. You know, this was a great, 4 or 5 years of all these films coming out and all these different incarnations of Godzilla coming out. So just wanted to put these together so you can see the kind of the evolution of the suit. He has come a long way, you know, from the sinister look from 64, you know, to the more expressive dynamic pose of 65, you know, 66, the fatherly look in 67, as well as now the superhero look of 68. Just a really nice evolution of the 60s Godzilla. And I really do enjoy having all these together, you know. Man, these look great together. Don't ask me what my favorite is out of the bunch, because honestly, at this point, I don't really know, because they all look great together, and I have a fondness for pretty much all of them. Well, all of them, not pretty much. So I can't answer that question right now because they all look good. Because once again, the 65 Godzilla really exceeded all my expectations. It really exceeded what I wanted to get out of this figure. You know, I was happy to get it. Don't get me wrong. I was happy to pre-order it. But I was excited for it, mind you, but I was really, really excited once I got my hands on it. Once I got it in person and just realized they did an awesome job with the sculpt. They did an awesome job with the paint job. They just did an awesome job with the figure overall. That it has really shot up to like one of my favorite releases of the year. You know, so when I do my X Plus haul for this year, expect to get a lot of glowing comments about the 65 Godzilla. But aside from that, these look great together. Once again, you see an evolution in the suit from 64 all the way up to 68. Alright, so let's go with a couple more size comparisons. And I mentioned earlier about the 65 Godzilla and the 66 Godzilla, you know, X Plus figures, and I wanted to show these two together. As a matter of fact, that will be net size comparison starting right now. Okay, folks, this is the net size comparison. Let's compare the two versions of the same suit, shall we? With the 65 as well as the 66. And yes, as you can see, they look well together and really confirms what I've been thinking about all along. Because mind you, this is the first time I have put these two figures together. And as you can see, aside from the fact they look well, but they do remind me of how Godzilla looked in the production of Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, where the suit looked really, really good, you know, before it tested red bamboo base here. And this is how it looked afterwards, you know, because the water scenes in Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster really took its toll on the suit. The suit, which was already baggy and, you know, already had all that going on, the water scenes really took its toll on the suit. And as you can see in the sculpts of both X Plus figures here, this basically looked like Godzilla before he attached the red bamboo base and afterwards, you know. So I think that's cool. I think that's really, really cool, you know. So maybe you can put your 65 with Emperor and have a good setup with that, you know. But like I said, these two basically represent how Godzilla looked in Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. Even though this is the 65 Godzilla, technically. Let's look at it from the side and look at the difference of the dorsal plates, the color of the dorsal plates. As you can see, 65, like I said, has more of a light grayish color. The 66 has more of a off bone white color, kind of like how it was towards the tail end of Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. So yeah, they look really, really well together. Once again, this is an awesome suit. I really do enjoy this suit. You know, I can't speak enough about this suit. But as you can see, you can tell there are differences between the two. You know, once again, this just shows how much attention to detail X Plus does with their figures. You know, and this is a clear example of that. You know what I mean? Like the 68 Godzilla and the 71, even though it's virtually the same suit, there are just certain modifications done with the 71 that even though it looks similar, it does have somewhat of a unique look. The same thing applies here between the 65 and the 66. So I just want to put these two together, and man, this looks awesome. This looks really, really awesome, and makes me want to see Godzilla vs. Monster Zero and Godzilla vs. Sea Monster back to back right now. And I probably will after I get this video together. All right, so that's it with the second size comparison, and let's go with the last size comparison, and let's see how he fares against his Monster Zero co-stars with Rodan and Monster Zero himself, King Ghidorah. And let's go to that right now. Okay, folks, this is the last size comparison and probably the most important one. Yes, alongside the 65 Godzilla 25cm from X Plus, I have the 25cm X Plus 64 Rodan, as well as the 68 25cm from X Plus King Ghidorah. And as you can see, even though Rodan and King Ghidorah are not from the same film, year-wise, this looks amazing, and this looks basically perfect. The perfect setup to one of the best Godzilla films of all time, Invasion of Astro-Monster, also known as Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. And if you're wondering if the 65 Godzilla will pair well with these figures, those fears should not be put to rest right now, because as you can see, he scales well with both Rodan and King Ghidorah. Now, King Ghidorah is a little bit taller because he's on my base here, but still, once you put King Ghidorah solid on the ground next to Godzilla. Trust me, he looks so perfect next to Godzilla himself, as well as Rodan here. And once again, this was like one of my most favorite reasons for getting this Godzilla, because you know I'm huge into setups. You know I love putting figures together for setups. Now before this, I would use my 66 Godzilla for this setup. You know, with Rodan and King Ghidorah. And even though it looked good, this looks absolutely great. This looks perfect. You know, by this being the actual suit design, the actual figure, the actual Godzilla that was in the film. Now, mind you, 64 Rodan, you know, Rodan has slightly of a different look, you know. King Ghidorah slightly of a different look, but yet the effect is there. You can get away with it with this shot, with these three together, you know. As a matter of fact, where is the Planet X controller? There he is, or alien. Let me put him down right here. Hopefully he'll stand. See what I'm saying? Hopefully he'll stand up. And yes, look at that. That is amazing. There you have the perfect setup to one of the best Godzilla films out there in Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. So that's pretty much it with the size comparisons, you know. I wanted to do a lot of size comparisons, honestly, because I know towards the tail end of my videos, I like to talk about the film that, you know, that's involved with the figure that I'm reviewing. But honestly, this will be an X Plus setup video in the future. More likely, it will be in December, because in December, Monster Zero celebrates its 53rd anniversary. In December, don't know, I forgot what day it was, but I know the film came out in December in 1965 in Japan. And I would do an X Plus setup video dedicated to this film, involving the 65 Godzilla, the, you know, 64 Rodan and King Ghidorah, you know, for that video. And then I'll talk about my thoughts on Monster Zero. And just for a spoiler alert, it's going to be fairly positive, you know. So that's the reason why I want to do all these size comparisons and show how this Godzilla looks alongside other 25cm Godzilla X Plus figures, as well as the 66. And now with Rodan and King Ghidorah here. As you can tell, this Godzilla complements a lot of different situations that you put him in, and I'm so happy about that. All right, so let's wrap this review up, and I'll give you my final thoughts of this figure. All right, let's go to my final thoughts right now. Okay, folks, I'm back with final thoughts of the X Plus 25cm Godzilla 1965 Ric Exclusive Edition. I love it. Awesome release. 10 out of 10. I don't see anything wrong with this figure. I don't see any embellishments on this figure. I don't see any artistic liberties that X Plus took with this figure. Such an awesome representation of the 65 Godzilla, and I couldn't be even more happier with it. You know, and once again, this video will be coming out real soon. I would say probably look for it in the next 2 or 3 weeks going into December, or at least the second or third week of December. Devoted to X Plus setups, devoted to the entire monster lineup, to Monster Zero with the 65 Godzilla, 64 Rodan, and the 68 King Ghidorah. And then I'll talk about more so about Monster Zero. But once again, I love that film. It's one of my top 10 favorite Godzilla films of all time. I believe it's number 8, number 9, 1 or 2. But I so love this film. It's really an epitome of what made the Showa films so awesome back in the day. You know, you have aliens, you have Godzilla, somewhat of an anti-hero in this film. You know, you got Rodan. 3 are probably the most popular monsters Toho has ever brought to us. You know, only monster that's missing is Mothra. And I consider Godzilla, Rodan, King Ghidorah, and Mothra like the forefathers of Toho Kaiju. Without them, we wouldn't have, in my opinion, everything else that will follow. Gigan, Hedra, Megalon, Mechagodzilla, Biollante, Space Godzilla, Megaguirus, you know, Kiryu. All these great monsters that we come to know and love from Toho started from these 3 and Mothra, you know. But speaking of these 3, this video will be upcoming really soon, so stay tuned to that. X Plus setups devoted to the awesome campy kaiju film Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. And once again, get the 65 Godzilla. Get this figure. Once again, the time of recording, I did see, because I was on Hobby Search a couple nights ago, and there are still a couple in stock, but I believe it won't be there for long. So, but listen to my voice and listen to what I tell you. This figure, even though the pictures, some pictures, I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this figure, it looked great. It really did look great, but it probably showcased like maybe 7 pictures. Out of 7 pictures, 5 of them looked good, and the other 2 probably didn't make the figure look all so well, you know. But I have to tell you, having it in person right now, having it in my hand right now, this figure has exceeded all my expectations. And once again, it was a shocker release because we didn't know it was coming. And I like figure releases like that, you know. It's of course it's nice to see like these figures, unpainted prototypes at these, you know, Japanese toy shows or model shows, you know, whatever, so we get a good idea what's coming. That way we can plan our budgets accordingly and blah blah blah. But every now and then, X Plus will drop a bombshell here and there, just to let you know, to let y'all know, hey, you know, we do have stuff cooking. We do have stuff up our sleeve. You know what I mean? This was no different. Faradan, that was a shocker. The King Ghidorah 64 that was announced just a couple weeks ago, that was a shocker. We had no idea that was coming. So this was a pleasant surprise, a really pleasant surprise of the year 2018. And I'm really glad I got my hands on this figure. And if you're a fan of this version of Godzilla, if you're a fan of Monster Zero, you can't go wrong with this figure, whether it's the Ric Exclusive or the standard edition of Godzilla 1965 from Invasion of Astro-Monster or Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. All right, so much stuff is coming, you know what I mean? Got lots of stuff coming. The Favorite Sculptors line for Ron is coming. You know, I'm getting the new Death for Real G and K that is coming. Should be dropping, I guess, at the time of recording. Should drop tomorrow or sometime this week. You know, I still got to do the Space Godzilla and Little Godzilla set. Still got to do the RMC Gamma over here. I got lots of stuff. I got lots of stuff to do. A lot of projects to do. But also, X Plus setups. Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, that's coming too. So a lot of stuff is coming on the channel that will hopefully keep you entertained for the foreseeable future. And hope you have a good time as much as I do making these videos for you. And thank you so much for the new subscribers, for the new support. Jeremy Souls, thank you for making me that Facebook page. Thank you, GoJR851, Matt Jacobson, for monitoring that Facebook page and all the likes and all support that I've been getting from y'all, you know, since forever. I really do appreciate it, and I will return that with my appreciation by giving you as much great entertaining content as possible. And once again, be on the lookout for X Plus setups to vote the Godzilla vs. Monster Zero in the very near future. Alright? So I thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all again on this figure move review. Alright? Y'all take it easy.